Hey YouTube, it's Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to continue talking about what creates snake pricing. This today is going to be difficulty. Like I have difficulty spelling, in case you wanted me to use it in a sentence. Difficulty. So what makes a snake difficult to produce? Well, this is all about genes. So there's nothing else in here other than genes that's going to play a role. There are a few things, I guess, that you could say will protect some things. We've seen some drops, and I'll get into that. Some specialized cases. Difficulty is all about genes. So first of all, in order to do that, we have to understand the terms we use. And somebody's going to go out there and say, I'm a geneticist, and those are not the proper terms. I don't really care. These are the terms that the hobby uses. This is what we're going to use because that's what you're going to hear. We probably, as a hobby, should self-correct and use all the correct terms. But we don't, and you're not going to hear those, so then it just turns confused. We're going to use what the hobby terms use. We are going to use het, recessive. Okay? We're going to use incomplete dominant, which that's one that pisses everybody off because, you know, it's not really the correct term. And dominant, which, yeah, I know, the hobby's all wrong. So, those are really the three things we're playing with. And for making it simpler for you all, and we can get rid of these terms, start talking about different things, is for the reptile industry, what these mean, because it's way different than what they actually mean, is going to be this is a recessive. Pretty simple. Albino, pied, toffee, clown, exanthic, there's a whole shit ton of them, ghost, sunset. We could just roll off a bunch more recessives. Those are recessives. Recessives mean that it takes two copies of the gene, one from mom, one from dad, for it to show. If you want a comparison to humans, blue eyes. This is a blue-eyed human being. It's a recessive gene. Okay, incomplete dominant means that's like pastel. That would be all those kind of things where there is a visual form in one gene, and then a two gene super form. Super being it got it from both parents. So this is from one parent from both parents. And that would be like, pastel and super pastel. Lesser and blue-eyed leucistic. I guess we should also use complexes, now that I mention that. Whoa. That will play a role when we're talking about difficulty. And then dominant doesn't get used too much. I don't really think there's a whole lot of room for that. Some people would tell you, like, spider's a dominant or pin because we've never seen a super. Look, this isn't dominant. Okay, it's not. It's incomplete dominant for the reptile terminology because it's just super form's deadly. So you're never going to see a super because it'll kill it. Don't make super spiders. The love of all things holy, just don't do it. Pinstripe, but there's rumors of supers and rumors of non-supers, and I don't know. But things like that wouldn't have a super. One of the problems is you run into certain things like, pin, leopard, a few others out there, where the super is not visually different than the normal. So that's, makes it hard to see. But really, what you still have is, honestly, you have het and homozygous, which aren't up here except for here, which is heterozygous, homozygous. Like, this would actually be a heterozygous. This would actually be a homozygous. And, yeah, meaning one copy from a parent, two copies from a parent, right? It's about the best way I can explain het and homo. Homo. And I'm sure somebody's going to get way more into it than I do, but that's fine. So that's what we're kind of in complex. Now, you'll not really have to worry about dominant because for dominant, it ain't going to make a difference what we're talking about today, I promise. Complexes include the bell complex. There is the, we could say the spider complex, but it really only complexes one snake that's not lethal, so we're going to leave that out, which would be blackhead. There is complex with yellow belly complex is another great example. Those will probably be the two we kind of talk about. Bell complexes, of course, includes lesser. It includes Mojave. It includes a Russo. It includes Mystic. About 5 others. Yellow belly includes yellow belly. Duh. Includes gravel. It includes asphalt. And probably another one or two. What makes a super stripe? Yellow belly what?
Spark, I believe.
Spark. Includes spark. Thank you. Spark. So that's what's in complexes. A complex simply means that I can take an animal's going to act like a homozygous. So they're on the same spot. So a Russo Mystic will act like a homozygous, even though it's a Russo Mystic, and it's going to pass on either Russo or Mystic. You know, a yellow belly gravel, i.e. Highway, is going to act like a recessive. It's always going to pass on yellow belly or gravel, never pass on a singular one. So let's start playing with what makes things difficult, shall we? And why that affects price. Again, we're going to take the looks out of this. So we're going to play with two of them right now. Hey, Caleb?
Yes.
Can you look me up the price of a super stripe?
Yeah.
I threw that on the ground on accident. Thank you. Again, a super stripe is a yellow belly spark. Correct? And you can tell the difference in a spark and a yellow belly looking at them, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so these, I've never made these. I'm just familiar with them a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Spectre that makes this.
It is Spectre. It is Spectre, not Spark. Our bad. Spark does something different. Spectre. That's why we just... No cuts, people! We just gotta fucking roll with the mistakes. That's how life really is, right? So yellow belly and Spectre. And you can tell the difference in yellow belly and a Spectre, I think. What's the going rate for those sons of bitches?
$225.
$225, okay. Okay. Why don't you look me up at Freeway? Freeway is going to be a yellow belly asphalt. Now, you're going to say, well, this is a really bad example because from a difficulty level, these are the exact same snakes. I want to kind of for a purpose. You're using very similar genes, all in the same complex, which means Spectre Asphalt should make something too. I'm sure it's been done, but it looks cool. Anyway, so yeah, they are the same complex, which means the difficulty to make one really isn't any different. What is my price point though for Freeway?
That's all pulling up.
Oh, still pulling. Okay. Damn internet. We should get good internet here. Anyway, but there is a difference because I'll get to it in the complex, what makes these difficult to make and what has made these hold value better than these. These are newer, for full disclosure. These haven't been out as long. These have been out a long time now. Everybody and their brother's doing them. I think if you follow those people up in Canada, they make a shit ton of them. So there's a bunch of them out there. This
So
is not
Freeway,
rare.
female, $575.
$575. As a matter of fact, I bet on Morph Market right now there's probably as many Freeways, if not more, than there are Super Stripes. Am I correct? So more common. So part of that is visual. So why are these more difficult to make or perceived more difficult? Why would I use this example? Well, it's really simple. I can tell this out. Here, the asphalt and yellow belly look the exact same. So because of yellow belly asphalt being indistinguishable, it's harder to know what you're pairing. And that caused these to stay in price. These is easy to tell. So because the difficulty is a little bit more, this is going to always hold price better than this. Now, these are going to get closer together with time. But this will always be harder to make, or the parts are more expensive, raising the difficulty. Another great example would be, find me a Desert Ghost Krypton. You said goes for how much?
You said 5.
5K?
Yeah.
So why is a Desert Ghost Krypton 5K? Well, they're pretty fucking cool, man. Let me go find you a snake that's close. I don't have a Desert Ghost Krypton. I wish I did. Oh shit, he's out breeding. Whoops. You're not, though. Whoa, I know, little one. This is close. This is a pastel lesser Krypton het Desert Ghost. So we're one gene away. So what makes that snake so difficult? Well, one is we're playing with recessives, right? So when you start working with recessives, how many recessives do I have to get in there? Well, and I think those go for, if you can find one on the internet, last I saw was like $4,000 or something very similar. Why don't you just ball up and chill? You're not going to do that, are you? Okay, here, keep that thing wrangled. So pastel, lesser, desert, or Krypton, het Desert Ghost. So it's the amount of genes in it. One, you have 2 of those incomplete dominant, right? So let's get the incomplete dominant count going. Again, I know, not the scientific term. And that would be pastel and lesser. Pastel lesser by itself is like $175. So not too bad there. And then we have a complex going on in there. didn't mention the clown complex in the clown complex. We're going to call it clown complex. And what that means is this is actually a het clown. And it's also a het cryptic. Because it's a allelic combo, these two act like a super. So now what you in essence have is a recessive combo, right? Because it's like having a visual. It is a visual, and those two kind of like toffee work together with two incomplete dominants. Plus, on the straight recessive stuff, it is het DG in our case, and the one that Caleb talked about is visual DG. I just didn't want to pull out. So being het DG. So with all of that at play, the difficulty to make this snake and the parts required and the odds to hit it are long or expensive. I mean, we did it with a pastel lesser desert ghost bred to a clown. Our desert ghost ended up being het for cryptic. We had no idea, and we hit that. Actually, it was bred to a het clown. So our odds on that were astro-fucking-nomical because we had to catch this, which is 1 and 2. That makes it 2 and 4. We had to catch het cryptic, which we didn't know was in there. That would make it 1 and 8. We also had to catch the het clown, which would make it 1 and 16. And then the het desert ghost had to pass on because their male was visual desert ghost. So it was 1 and 16, and we had to use a fairly expensive male to do so. That would have been way more expensive if we would have known it was actually het cryptic. So the difficulty level in making that and the rarity of making it is what makes it more expensive. There are ways you can cheat the difficulty. We'll get into that really quick. How do you cheat difficulty? Well, it's playing the odds game, and it's expensive to do, or it takes time to grow up your animals. Anybody can make bumblebees every year. Hi, I make bumblebees every year. Anybody can do that, okay? It's not hard to make a pastel spider. Like, it's easy. You know, that's like super simple, super cool looking, but super simple to do. So if you're wanting to lower your odds, you know, one, get rid of your hets. If we were to use a visual desert ghost Krypton, that was $5,000, you said, right? Desert Ghost Krypton. So we didn't have that. If we'd use one of those, it cost us, let's say it was also a pastel. That'd cost us probably $6K, maybe. Okay, and we raised that up. We also brought it to when we bought. That was a visual desert ghost. And instead of being Krypton, let's actually make that cryptic. It really won't change the price at all, but it'll make sense. If I do Krypton to Krypton, it fucks my odds on this. So we do a desert ghost to cryptic. We do desert ghost clown, right? Lesser. Let's say that. And that probably costs us, I don't know, $4K. Maybe. Something like that. I'm just guessing. Let's pull that number in my ass. Nobody got on me for it. So then, the odds here mean it has to be desert ghost, right? It's recessive. So we're going to catch one from mom. We're going to catch one from dad. So now it's 1 and 1. We can't do anything but make desert ghost. We know we're going to catch cryptic. We're going to catch that recessive. And we're going to catch this recessive. And so we're going to make the cryptic on everything. So Desert Ghost Cryptic is going to happen across the Krypton. Thank you. We're going to make the Krypton, and this is a recessive. This is a complex, right? Gene. We know we're going to make that. And then over here, we're going to catch this on about 1 and 2, and we're going to catch this on about 1 and 2, meaning we'll have 4 different odds. So our odds now that we can make are 1 and 4 for everything. For a DG, Cryptic, or Krypton, sorry. Krypton, DG, well, you know what? We're going to save myself some writing because it'll take me forever otherwise. Lesser, pastel, and pastel lesser. So, the odds get way better. Now it's 1 and 4, and the worst thing we can make is a Desert Ghost Krypton. So it can be 1 and 16, like what we had to deal with, or it could be 1 and 4. Actually, this is 1 and 4 for a better animal because it's visual in both. Now, as more and more of these things get made and these prices fall, eventually, then this difficulty does get easier, right? because it's cheaper. Cheaper does mean easier. Difficulty is two things. One is how hard it is to pair, and two, that's how painful it is to purchase in. So either you're taking long odds or you're investing a lot of money. If everybody's making these, then it's not going to be as difficult because you can just buy the parts and lower your odds. But when the parts are really expensive to get, and most people are going to use not this combo to do that, they're going to use something other than that, like maybe a het, like that kind of thing, or maybe a visual het, and then visual, and it's going to be a lot longer odds. It's very, very difficult. So here we'll flood the market eventually and make the difficulty not as bad. But the more genes there are, the more difficult it is to make that animal. The more recessive genes, too, the more difficult it is. And that may not make a lot of sense, but if you're using 2 visual recessives, then it's not hard. But double visual recessives are not falling off of trees. Triple visual recessives certainly aren't falling off of trees. So a lot of times if you're going to make a double visual recessive, like Project Snow here, and Snow, it's fairly difficult to make the way we did it, but Snow's been out a long time, so we're just going to use it because it's what we have as an example. How we had to do Snow is we had to take an albino to, in essence, I think it was a spider, Xanthic. Right? So we paired. What do we get? We got double hets and double het spiders. So that was the pair we had to use to make a single Snow. So the reason it's difficult is because you invest here and it takes you 3 years to get that female up to size, and then you get your double hets. Takes you another 3 years to get them up to size. You're now 6 years in, assuming you bought babies, and you get your first shot at production. And that production with double hets is going to be, if it's het to het, it is only 1 in 4 for visual. And so there I think you're at 1 in 16. If memory serves, double het to double het's 1 in 16 visual, correct, everybody? So it is, you're at a 1 in 16 just for, I'm sure that's not the way you're supposed to write that. That's just the way my brain works, for a double visual. That doesn't include the spider. Throw the spider in there, and now you're looking at a 1 in 32. So, I think it's 1 in 32. Something like that, because, yeah. So that's where the difficulty comes in. If you have 6 eggs a year, assuming all go, it's likely going to be your 3rd season before you get one. 6, 12, 18, 1 in 16, right? So if it takes you 3 seasons, you have 3 years here, 3 years here, 3 years here, that is 9 years. On average, working that double recessive project to get to that. And that's why double recessives, triple recessives, and the like hold value so much better. If it becomes cheap to cheat the system, then this 9 years goes down and they get made too frequently. But it doesn't happen because of the amount of difficulty it takes into going into that. We made 1 Snow over the years. So next year I plan to make a lot more Snows. We're going to do the same thing eventually with True Ghost and the like. But that is where the difficulty really, really lies. It does not lie the same with incomplete dominant genes because they pass on so fast. Banana's the biggest one to show you that. They just tank. And double recessives are always going to hold value more than the snake I'm going to pull out here. Roar. Some of them want to come off easy and some doesn't. I don't know. There it goes. So that snake, that double recessive, is probably harder to make than, say, this snake here, right? Now this snake's got more value right now because of the other factors, but it won't forever. And that is a 4 incomplete dominant genes. That's what's in there. Yes, 5. It's got a banana, a blitz, a calico, a black pastel. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah, so 4. Woo! So, yeah, this is still hard to make, but this is not as hard to make as 1 in 32 or 1 in 16, depending on the combo you use. I mean, that's 1 in 2. That makes it 1 in 4, 1 in 8, 1 in 16. But I can also get there a lot quicker because I can take a banana blitz and a calico black pastel, throw them together in the first 3 years, and I could get that. If it's 1 in 16, it takes me 3 times to get that animal. It's going to take me 6 years instead of 9. Plus, we'll be making all those combos. And you could use a super banana or a super black pastel. You can't use a super calico. This one doesn't have the super. Don't use a super black pastel either. They're not the best thing to go with. But you could use a Blitzkrieg or whatever you want. But my point is, these are easier to make for people. They don't have to sit as long. Plus, everything they make in the meantime is kind of cool. Double hets by themselves don't look cool. They look like normals for the most part. So there's always more difficulty in double and triple recessives, I think, than there ever is in incomplete dominant stacking on genes. Which we do both. I mean, this is definitely incomplete dominant gene stacking, and it came out really fucking cool. I think. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oh, I know. So, anyway, there you go. Kurt, any questions?
No.
Caleb, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Am I completely off my rocker?
No.
Not today?
Not today.
I'll try to be tomorrow. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.